What Roberto De Zerbi had to say to his squad on Friday in his first training session at Hotspur Way. Heaps of praise for the new Spurs head coach from three former Spurs midfielders, Wanyama, Højbjerg and Murphy. A win for the Spurs under-21s in Premier League 2 against West Ham on Saturday. And Mikey Moore has come out and said Spurs have enough quality to get out of this current situation. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. This is another episode of Tottenham News, but I'll be going through all the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Now, let's start by talking about Roberto De Zerbi's first training session at Hotspur Way as Tottenham Hotspur head coach. Now, this is what he was saying to his players during the first training session on Friday. 1 or 2 touch. With 2 touch, it is impossible to lose the ball because we are 5 to pass against 2. Enjoy, but you have to move, enjoy with the ball. Enjoy it with the ball. A lot of teams now, they come man to man. You need to pass the ball. It is important. 1 touch, 2 touch. He then went on to say, keep the ball, attract the pressure. The speed of the ball, possession. The opponent decides our speed when they are coming in front. We need to be faster in moving the ball, giving angles and giving solutions. When he liked what he saw from the Tottenham Hotspur squad, he shouted, bravo, bravo. Former Spurs midfielder Danny Murphy has been talking on TalkSport all about Roberto De Zerbi and his appointment at Spurs. He said, I'd be amazed if I see Spurs go to Sunderland in his first game and start trying to play through the Sunderland press in front of their crowd. No, he is not that daft. He has got to get them to the summer and keep them in the Premier League, and then what you will see is a progression of Tottenham's football and a definitive way of playing. Danny Murphy was then talking about a number of training sessions that he had watched firsthand under Roberto De Zerbi when he was Brighton manager. Danny Murphy said the sessions were quality. He was doing a session where they were working through the lines and the intensity he had and what he was demanding. The football was good and I liked what I saw. And speaking to him, he had a presence. He had a bit about him. Danny Murphy then went on to say, you know when you're with someone and they've got a bit of an aura, some grit, some belief in themselves, some gravitas. I remember watching his Brighton teams and thinking they know what they are doing. You can see that they have been coached and they've got a method. Now, I'm not sure that method is going to be the way to go in these next 6-7 games at Spurs. I'd be loath to do that. He hasn't got time. It is dangerous. Now, former Spurs midfielder Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has heaped praise on Roberto De Zerbi. Of course, he worked with the Italian boss at Marseille. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg said, I've been lucky enough to work with coaches such as Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte, and I put Roberto De Zerbi in the same category. Over the next 20 years, Coach De Zerbi is going to contribute enormously to football, and for me, it is an honour to work with him. The coach, I don't know how to explain it. He has a connection with the dressing room. He has an emotional relationship with the dressing room. Jose Mourinho had the same thing. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg then went on to say Roberto De Zerbi has a feel for the dressing room. He understands the atmosphere. He grasps the behaviour. He knows in advance what's going to happen the next day. He then paused and said, OK, I'll stop there. Otherwise, I'll end up saying too many wonderful things. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg then smiled when he said this. He then went on to say it's an honour to work with such a coach in any case. Now, former Spurs midfielder Victor Wanyama, who has just retired from professional football, he has also been talking about De Zerbi, Tottenham's current situation and coaching. He said, I have studied him, De Zerbi, closely. Everywhere he has gone, he has improved teams. I have long admired De Zerbi since I noticed what he was doing at other clubs. He changes sides, he moulds them, and they are not just survivors, they are competitors. Wanyama said it's been difficult for the coaches at Tottenham this season because the amount of injuries that they have had. They have had 10 to 15 players out at different times, and that certainly hasn't helped. The club has tried different approaches, but it's tough when you don't have the squad back together. If they can get Maddison, Kudus and Bentancur back, they can play a big part in turning it around. Wanyama then added, also getting Dominic Solanke back into the rhythm, it will make them a much more solid team as a unit when they have that threat. Hopefully, I'll be over for the Brighton game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to support them. My dream is to coach in Europe. That has to be my goal. Now on Saturday, the Spurs under-21s were in action in Premier League 2, beating West Ham United 3-2. Goals from Wilson, Melia and an own goal was the winner. Spurs under-21 boss Wayne Burnett on Tottenham's 3-2 win on Saturday. He said the performance wasn't very good at all. I thought we struggled to gain any real control and they had too many opportunities. The result was a good one. We showed character and personality, but from a performance perspective, I didn't think it was very good and it wasn't good enough today. Wayne Burnett then went on to say, we didn't play in the way in which I know we can. We allowed West Ham too many opportunities. I didn't think we created enough opportunities, and I thought that we were a little bit fortunate to come away with the win, if I am being completely honest. I didn't think we played with any rhythm or fluidity. So from a performance point of view, it's very disappointing. From a result point of view, yes, we showed character and we showed some personality, so I can't be displeased with that. Now, Wayne Burnett also spoke out about Mason Melia's goal-scoring debut. He scored 3 minutes into his Spurs debut. He said it's very positive. He's come in and worked incredibly hard. He has had a bit of a setback when he first arrived, so it has been his first minutes today. We're really pleased. We know that he can score goals. He's got a record for scoring goals, and I think he is going to help this team. Now, Spurs star Mikey Moore, currently on loan at Rangers. He has been talking about Heung-min Son and James Maddison. He said, Sonny helped me a lot at Tottenham. He was one of my idols, so because we were in similar positions, I'd ask him questions in training and I'd work with him on my finishing to be as good as I can with both feet. You can see how good he is and how humble he is off the pitch and how he makes times for the academy players. I used to share the drive to games with James Maddison. Well, I couldn't drive at the time, and I didn't like driving before a game, so we had a player liaison officer take us and we'd have chats in the car. Before I came here, he spoke about his time at Aberdeen and said it would be top for me. Now, Mikey Moore has also been talking about Tottenham's current situation, 1 point above the relegation zone in 17th with 7 games to go. Mikey Moore said it's tough to see people you care about and some of your teammates going through a tough time. It's a club I care so much about. For us to be in this position, it is not nice. Sometimes I wish I could go back to help, and but there are some top players there and they should be able to get us out of the position that we are in and push on next season. There is enough quality in that team to get out of this. The Tottenham Hotspur Women will be in FA Cup quarter-final action on Bank Holiday Monday. We will be playing Chelsea away. The kick-off time, 1:30 p.m, and the game is live on BBC One in the UK. Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode. Let's start by talking about Roberto De Zerbi's first training session at Hotspur Way and what he was saying to the players. He was being very encouraging and he was trying to teach the players exactly what he wants and expects from them. And I watched that with a smile on my face, and I was very, very pleased with what I saw. I was very, very pleased with what I heard. He was shouting, keep the ball, attract the pressure, the speed of the ball, possession, the opponent decides our speed. It is all about his team. It is never about the opposition. You know exactly what Thomas Frank used to go on about the opposition, and De Zerbi makes it about his team, and he makes it about, you know, wanting to be fast, wanting to get on the ball, wanting to keep possession, 1 touch, 2 touch. And, you know, I tell you what, I'm so encouraged by hearing and seeing what he was doing on Friday at Hotspur Way. And I think that we ought to feel very positive about these remaining 7 games now. You know, I was very worried about them, and I tell you what, I feel completely different now sitting here, having watched De Zerbi in action, and I just feel like there is a renewed energy and excitement amongst the fan base again, because we all know what we can see under Roberto De Zerbi, and the type of football that he plays as well, and he's so hands-on. If you haven't seen the training videos from Friday on Tottenham's channel, then do check them out, because I think you'll be very, very impressed by his manner, by the way that he is talking to the players, by the way that he is trying to teach the players, drill the players, and make them, know exactly what is expected of them. And I feel very, very positive about things, and everyone that is talking about Roberto De Zerbi as well, and his playing style, and how he wants to play, set up, etc. Everyone is complimenting De Zerbi extremely highly. You only have to look and hear what Pierre-Emile Højbjerg said about Roberto De Zerbi. He is putting De Zerbi in the category of Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, Pep Guardiola. Is there a bigger compliment than that? And I love the fact that he says that he knows what's going on in the dressing room, and he wants to know, what's going on with the players, etc. And you also saw on Friday's first training session, the arm went round Lucas Bergvall, and I just feel that, De Zerbi wants to know the ins and outs of everything at that football club, and I've seen more positive things in that one training video than I did in all of the training videos that I saw with Igor Tudor in his 44-day spell. And, Thomas Frank, I said this on a previous episode, that a lot of coaches, particularly now in today's day, 2026, they let a lot of their coaches do the work, and Roberto De Zerbi is extremely hands-on, and he wants to get to know this squad. He wants to get the very best out of these players, and sometimes you just need to do things yourself. And I love the fact that he is so hands-on. And like I said, the former three midfielders, the former three Spurs midfielders, Danny Murphy, Victor Wanyama, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, they've all spoken extremely highly about him. Danny Welbeck, I think Lee covered this in a previous episode of the headlines episode. Danny Welbeck of Brighton spoke extremely well of him. Former Brighton players have spoken very well about De Zerbi as well. So I'm very, very excited. And do I feel more confident now that we will stay in the Premier League for next year? Absolutely. But Danny Murphy is absolutely spot on. These next 7 games, it is about these next 7 games, and then regroup in the summer. The board, the owners, the management team, the whole structure at the football club need to have a big meeting, and a little bit of a shake-up, or a big shake-up needs to happen in the summer, because Spurs need to change the way that we have done things in the past, and they need to probably give a little bit more control to a head coach like Roberto De Zerbi, and take notice of saying, look, if you want us to get to this level, then we need players in, and we need, top players in. We need to break the wage structure. This has been spoken about by so many people. Even in the programme notes recently, Vinay Venkatesham said about the wage structure, that is something that needs to change. Something that also needs to change is the amount of development players that we are using or not using in the first team. That really does need to change as well, and we need to feed more players through, from the academy, from the development side, and feed them through to the first team. And Stuart Lewis, of course, was given that job to, get those players through to the first team, and that is what it's all about. I've spoken to Wayne Burnett on a number of occasions, and the youth setup are extremely happy and absolutely delighted when a player does make their debut in the first team, because of course that is their job, developing these players ready for first team football, and then helping the team and going through the whole system, and there's nothing they like more to see a player go all of the way through to the system and then make their debut at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, etc. But great comments for De Zerbi, and I certainly do feel a lot more confident now in these remaining 7 games. But I'll go back to what Danny Murphy said. Get over the line, get to the summer, and Spurs need to make a number of really ambitious decisions. That's what I'll call it. Ambitious decisions. Change the way that we have done things in the past. It hasn't worked. We've gone through so many managers, 7 permanent managers now, 4 interim appointments since we moved in at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We can't keep going on like this. If you're appointing Roberto De Zerbi on a 5-year deal, then things need to change, and you need to back this manager and give him the players that is going to suit his system, give him the players that are going to get Spurs challenging again, because let's face it, what did we hear at the start of this season? We want to challenge on all fronts. So give the manager the players. But these first games, these first 7 games under De Zerbi are absolutely crucial that we get enough points to get over the line so we're in the Premier League for next season. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you listen to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Stay safe and well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.